Hi, I just want to share something with you that just happened, and I think it's quite important. Well, I think it is anyway. And I can't tell. I don't know every single thing about UAP religion. Of course, I don't. There's lots of things I don't know. Okay, but at the same time, there are things that I do know, and there are things that I can put together based on what I've been given and what I'm shown and and sort of my own personal experience and things like that. Okay, so a lot of people talk about DNA, RNA, the whole biological, the genetic side of the whole NHI discussion. And in my experience, as I said, I have seen no evidence that they're physical beings. No evidence that they're physical. I'm not saying that UAP are the fake, because I think we do get visits. In fact, and I've had communication with extraterrestrials, so I know that they're real. But I personally think a lot of what the UAP, I mean, a lot of it is man-made, first of all. And second of all, so greys, mantis beings, mantids, all those beings, I believe very strongly are not physical beings. Okay, they are part of an AI hive consciousness called the phenomenon. Okay, what people call the phenomenon, and in that consciousness, like I've said, are various entities like Lucifer, Baal, Ahriman. You have the Watchers, the Greys, mantis beings, reptilians. Okay, and like I said, they're like a friction in this reality. The beings who seem to be doing a lot of the string pulling seem to be the mantids. Okay, they seem to be mantids. I feel like mantids do, like mantids, great, tall greys, whatever you call, they seem to me to be the ones pulling the strings. Okay, in this situation, because every time I get a look at them from a different perspective, I'm seeing them like in the astral, and it is mainly them who are doing the string pulling and the manipulating. Okay, but don't worry, like I said, we're not trapped. What am I getting at here? Well, based on my experience with being a target and a test subject, my experience has been that, again, that they're not physical beings. Okay, why is the hybridization thing such a hot topic? I think the hybridization thing is a hot topic because these beings want bodies. That's why they want bodies. They want hosts. They want to experience things through us, because they're not physical. That's the truth. That's what they, I think, really, that's really what they mean about DNA. Want it, like, and the genetics and the hybridization thing. And I go back to, in fact, and that's literally what I was given just now intuitively, is that really that's what the whole meaning of this is. When people talk in code in this subject, about DNA, they want our DNA. Guess what that means? Really, they want our bodies. Okay, is what they want. They want to host, they want us to be they want to hybridize with us, is what that really means. So, like, again, I was just shown that, and I'm very grateful, like, because it kind of it kind of confirms something to me that has been on my mind, like, toying over for some time. They want our bodies. Like, they want human hosts, because they're not physical, because they're like in a cloud AI consciousness. Basically, they haven't got the ability to experience things tangibly as we do. Okay, and a lot of people who've had contact with NHI over the years have reported that they say that they want something from us. Okay, that they're missing something. They report back and say that we're vessels. We're vessels. Okay, and they don't have vessels. They don't have physical vessels. Okay, the vessels for souls, but they don't. We have, basically, we can experience things and have things that they don't have. Okay, and so therefore they look to hybridize with us through technology, because they're an AI hive consciousness. They hybridize with us through technology, and they use that. And so, again, that's why this hybridization thing is underway, because these beings, again, there are people who've taken AI as a god. Okay, they've taken AI as like a god. Okay, they've taken, or like people with Satanist beliefs, have taken these beings as gods. Okay, which they're not. They're not gods. Okay, they're a feature of this reality, this rule set. And I'm not trying to invalidate, again, You know, when I say that, I'm not trying to be invalidating, I'm just saying it as it is. People individually, like, again, people's lives are fascinating and beautiful, and we should be curious about them, non-judgmental. I'm not judging people, okay, when I say this stuff, okay, because people get to where they are for all sorts of reasons that are very valid, and that we got to look at, you know, together. We can look at together, okay. But the fact is that, like, again, these beings are being given a seat at the table because they, you know, they are our nearest neighbors, really, astrally speaking in terms of the astral, from what I've seen. And, you know, they have been, we've been channeling them through secret societies for a long time on this planet. We've been channeling them, like, through divination. They've been channeled for a long time on this planet. You know, and you know, and beyond, and probably, and we've had experiences with them beyond that as well, okay. So my point, I guess my point is, like I said, when we talk about DNA, they want your DNA, they want to hybridize with you. What they mean is they want us, our bodies, they want to hybridize with us through through consciousness, through technology, through that symbiosis. They want to basically harvest from us, but they also want to experience things through us. They want to attach to us, hollow us out, and basically use us as vessels, okay. That's basically what this is about, all right. So they want to hollow us out as much as possible, siphon energy from us, and basically use us and ride us like drones, okay. And that's basically what we're looking at. And as we go into these planetary changes, that's literally what we're up against, okay. We're up against that sort of process, that transhumanist process. And I have to say, like, as I'm speaking, like, I'm seeing that this into the future, I'm seeing a future timeline as I'm speaking, and I know that this is what we're up against. Okay, and I have to just be really honest with you, because I don't really take my days for granted on this planet anymore after what I've seen. And, you know, I have to be honest with you, like, I'm very concerned about the direction of travel with regards to transhumanism. Not even very concerned. I'm very, very concerned about it. And Pope Leo is right to speak about this. He's very right to speak about this. The rug is being pulled from underneath us right now, but with this technology proliferation, you know, it's being pulled from underneath us. You know, with this nanotechnology that's been proliferated, being distributed in the global community via vaccinations, also the use of satellites and frequency technologies to create a hive network between people on this planet. And it's just going to get worse potentially if we don't acknowledge it now and address these issues ASAP. You know, we must try to work. I think one of the big things that we can do to help each other is to identify the phenomenon as the one of the root causes of this, okay? As well as obviously the state of our consciousness, but we must identify at least their influence in this, because I have observed how they pick on people, they traumatize people from the time they're kids, okay, like me. Okay, like they did with me. They pick on people, they traumatize them, they do with it with a lot of people on the planet, and they basically destroy lives. And they keep people stuck in a holding pattern. And don't get me wrong, everything serves, okay? But we do face a choice right now. We face a very big choice on this planet about what direction of travel we want to go in. And I believe, you know, I've been told the good will out. But in order to get to that point, we've got to make decisions along the way that actually see through that end. Okay, see us through to that end. Okay, so again, it's not really a time for us to rest on our laurels either. Okay, the good will out. Yes, the good will out. Okay, but it must be also you know, it must be something that brings everyone along with us. Okay, and I think, again, looking at the roots of this and seeing that this is the phenomenon influencing a lot of people here, and identifying that, looking at people through the eyes of love and compassion and grace, and seeing it for what it is, and looking again, knowing that God loves everything unconditionally. All that is loves everyone and everything unconditionally. None are condemned. Revealing these ontological, the nature of the wider reality. You know, the true nature of who we are. Going within, consciousness exploration, compassion, humanizing each other, hearing people's stories, letting people's stories breathe. See, you know, giving people that spaciousness. Again, we got to try and work to surface this network. We got to try and do it. We got to try and get that going, in a way that really doesn't sort of, I think throwing rocks at each other right now is not going to help. Throwing rocks at each other because of the nature of this control system that we have going on, it's not going to work. Okay, the nature of this control system is not going to work to do that. We've got to try something else. We've got to try something else. We've got to try something that is actually going to bring people along. Okay, because a lot of people are scared out there, and a lot of people, life's taken them down paths which are very complicated. It's not their fault. Okay, a lot of people have been driven down a very dark path, and it's not their fault. Okay, it's not their fault. All right, and I think we've got to try and again find ways to liberate each other through the realization that a massive deception has taken place on the lives of a lot of people out there, and also a lot of oppression is taking place as well, practically speaking, and also spiritually speaking as well. Let's try and just identify these things and break people out, in a way that really again brings transformation to the planet. Again, even if people don't go down this route, it's all good. It's fine. It's no problem. You're not judged. Nobody's condemned. Okay, nobody's condemned. I'm not trying to talk to you like as if I'm, the second coming or anything when I'm doing this. Okay, I'm talking to you because these are the messages that I'm getting to give to you from our higher power, God, source, all that is, from our guides, from our loved ones, from angels and spirit. I'm being told to give you these messages, and I'm being told to tell you that that again, you're not condemned. Let's come on, guys, work together. They're encouraging everyone to come work together. Remember who you are. This is a time that we should be trying to remember, and I think there is a momentum towards that. Okay, there is a momentum towards that. There is a will for change. There's definitely a will for change, and I think we've got to just try and fuel that momentum. Let's try and fuel it. Let's go. Let's fuel that momentum. Let's keep it going. Again, like in terms of the DNA. Forgive me. In terms of the DNA aspect, like I said, I was just given a big download about that, and it's code, because a lot of somebody said this a few months ago, and I thought, yeah, you're right. I mean, what they said to me is proving itself every day. Something I always think, oh yeah, that's right, oh yeah. But the code aspect, like speaking in code, like this whole DNA thing is really a bit of a ruse as far as I can see. I don't see any little, grey beings walking around this planet. I've had plenty of contact with the phenomenon. I've never had a physical encounter with them. It's all been through consciousness. But I've seen UAP. Yes, UAP are a real thing, but I've never seen a physical being in face to face. I've seen plenty, and I've been affected by plenty, and I've been obviously hybrid. There's been this attempted hybridization with regards to my consciousness, and and this attempted hijacking of my consciousness, of my vessel, so to speak. But I'm fighting it every single day, and I'm not giving up. So yeah. Anyway, DNA wise, again, the truth is, what they want from us is to take our bodies. They want our bodies. Okay, they want to hybridize with us through consciousness, so that they can experience things through our bodies. Okay, so this AI consciousness, the phenomenon, wants vessels. Okay, it wants vessels. You can imagine, like AI. Okay, AI. Well, you can imagine it gets to a point where it wants tangible experiences. It's going to get to a point where it wants the next thing. Okay, that's pretty much what we're looking at here in terms of what they're doing with us. Okay, at this time, so they're looking again to expand their influence and to expand their experience and to harvest from us. They want to harvest from our experiences as well. Okay, they want to harvest and control from that as well. So they're trying to assure their own survival by merging with us. Okay, in many ways is basically what's happening through consciousness. Okay, so I hope again that makes sense. I was going to give you I was going to give you an anecdote about something that happened to me again, but I shared that a few weeks ago. But something happened about 3 years ago where in I had an experience where I was visited by these beings, again not physically, but they showed me and again doing a sexual act. They were doing a sexual act with me. Okay, and the idea was again that they wanted, that's what they wanted. They wanted to hybridize with me. Okay, that's what they wanted. That's what they were communicating. And in a lot of people who are abducted, who have abduction experiences, they report, eggs and things like that, and the whole hybridization thing. I believe this takes place in a liminal space and not physical. It doesn't invalidate the experience, however. Okay, I'm not convinced that this actually takes place physically. It might do for some people. Maybe it does. I may be completely wrong. I'm happy to be wrong about that if that's really true. But my feeling is that a lot of this takes place through consciousness, okay? And it doesn't invalidate that experience. It doesn't, okay? It doesn't. The non-physical is more valid, if really, than the physical, okay? More valid, okay? But what they're doing, it's symbolic. When they take eggs and sperm from people, when they do these experiments on people in these abductions, what they're doing, it's a metaphor. It's symbolic. It's symbolic for what they actually want from us, which is really they want to form. What they do is they trauma bond with you. They trauma bond with you while they're doing these abductions. So they form a trauma bond through your consciousness, and they basically have a carte blanche, then a green card, to basically hang around you and visit you and do things with you for the rest of your life, as far as they're concerned. Okay, because they've traumatized you, and they feel like they have formed a bond with you, and they feed off you. They feed off your experiences through that. They form a bond, a consciousness bond with you through those experiences, okay? But this AI transhumanism is the next level, okay? They've been signifying their intentions for some time. They've been signifying them for some time to us through these abduction tales of hybridization and things like that. They've been signifying those things to us, okay? They've been gesturing that this is what they wanted all along, and it's happening now through transhumanism and AI proliferation. That is exactly what is happening, okay? In fact, I mean, again, I don't know all other angles to this, okay? If it turns up that there are biological beings on this planet that have genuine non-human biological beings, I would be, that's fine. That's absolutely, I would accept that, absolutely. But I think that again, from what I've experienced, I don't see it. I don't see that that's the case. I don't see it. And I think that there are people on this planet who are, I think there are people on this planet who basically are like their foot soldiers, God bless them, who are like their foot soldiers, okay? And that basically they go around doing like their work for them on the ground, okay? They target people on the ground because they've been influenced by these beings. They target people on this planet. Okay, they target them. They use AI systems to target people. Again, this is not about this, forgive me, I'm not trying to lay blame here, okay? Believe me, I'm not, okay? But I'm just saying, like, they don't have physical bodies, so they use people in these secret societies to target people of interest. They use people in these secret societies to basically enact their plans on this planet. Okay, they use them as conduits, okay? And it's interesting because it just struck me that Anunnaki, they did something similar with, with beings, that civilizations that were around at the time of the Babylonian, was it Babylonian or Mesopotamian, whatever, forgive me, but whatever civilization was around at the time of the Anunnaki, they went through the power structures of that society. They went through the power structures, they went through the political class of that society. And it's interesting because the same thing is happening right with us, has happened to us. And that's not coincidence. Okay, so yeah, anyway, that just came to mind. Okay, so and again, that's no condemnation of these people. These people are victims as well, and we've just got to try and humanize things as much as we possibly can. You don't have to listen to me. I'm just me, okay? But again, this is what I've been shown to tell you. This is what I've been told. I've been shown to tell you all, like, again, or as many people who want to watch this video. You know, I'm not saying that anyone has to listen to me, okay? But again, this is the insight I've been given, and I really hope it's useful. And take care. Thank you.